This is going to be a walkthrough uh, for how to turn in our first program. Now, basically all you have to do is just follow along the video, or if you're in physical class, follow along with me in physical class, either way. And we'll build a little project real quick. I'll show you how to go through the whole process of turning it in, submitting it, and what that kind of looks like. So, first and foremost, you'd want to go to Canvas. You're going to want to go to Modules, and you're going to want to find the first program assignment. That's worth 10 points. And we're going to upload a file once we're done. Now, for the next part, you'll want to open up NetBeans, which I already have open here. And I'll try to get it all on the screen here so we can see it. Now, uh, really all you have to do is just make a new project, file, new project. And if you want to put the date, that's perfectly fine. Uh, I always lead with underscore because you can't lead with a number, not without having a funky name. Uh, for example, or whatever the date happens to be. Oop. And you can't have dashes and other weird things as a name. Uh, well, normally. So I usually just put the date. This, again, helps me keep track of specifically the order in which everything is. So whatever today's date is, this is what you're going to want to put in this little spot here. So when you go back, everything will be in the exact order because you have the date there. When you did this, August 15th, October 9th, uh, July 3rd, whenever it happens to be. And you can just go down the list. Whenever we have a project, it's probably the last several programs to look at. If you just name it anything, it makes it a lot harder to sift through and find projects. So again, I would encourage you to name, when you set the name, put the date first. Uh, that's just a little thing that can help you out a little bit. If you're in class, I would do this anyway. But first program. And make sure you're saving it wherever you want to save it. If you're at school, for example, it cannot be saved here if you want to keep it. Put it on your flash drive or something like that. If you're at home, it doesn't really matter. You can save it in your documents, NetBeans projects, and erase the second little bit there. Finish. Now, if it doesn't go directly to this screen here, like this, then it could have had a fit, stuttered or something. If you just get a blank screen or something, uh, and you don't see this Java file, .java file over here, this is the project. Source, default package, there it is. If you don't see anything there, just, delete it, right click, delete, and then make it again. Usually that'll fix it. Sometimes if it's on a flash drive or it has some trouble reading something, it may seize up a little bit. So all we're going to do is just make a quick project here. We're just going to type in a couple of things, and then we're going to go through the whole process of actually turning it in. Because you have to do a couple of things to turn it in. At first, it might seem a little tedious, but after you've done it a bunch of times, which we will do it a lot of times, it gets a lot easier. So, first off, I'm just going to put in a couple of little print statements. And if you remember SOUT tab should put this up here. Now, there are occasions where I've seen this doesn't work. If you do that and nothing happens, for example, if I did this, it's not supposed to be capitalized. But if I were to like type SOT space O tab, now it's not going to do it. Even if I put the T. I'll have to erase basically the whole thing and do it again. And I'm just going to put a couple little print statements in here. Is the best. There we go, just a couple of print statements, and if I hit the play, which compiles and then runs it, or you can hit F6, it should pop down here at the bottom, whatever we want to put in here. Now if I want to do a little math or something, again, now if I do it like this, let's say 9 plus 9, what you're going to get is exactly that, 9 plus 9. It's in quotes, meaning that you're going to see exactly that. If I take off the quotes, 9 plus 9, then it will actually do the math. Now if I want it to say what is 9 plus 9, then I want to actually show the answer at the end of this, put a couple little parentheses in there. Now if I don't put the parentheses, let's just say I don't do that. Watch what happens. What is 9 plus 9? 99. It's going to display the 9, and then it'll display another 9. If I put parentheses in here around this, that's going to tell it to do this little operation first instead of one at a time. So it'll actually do the math for us. Now, this is how I would display what is 9 plus 9, 18. So I can display some text and then some variables. Now, we've displayed a couple of lines of text. We've displayed some math. And we can make these as complex as I want. If I wanted to come in here and just, let's say I went 9 plus 9 times 2 minus 1. Well, which of these operations happens first? If we just went left to right, that would be 18, 36, 35, right? It's not going to be 35. It's going to do this first. Multiplication always happens first. And then addition, subtraction are the same order, basically. So it's going to go left to right. So we'll get 18 for this. We're going to add 9 to that. So 27 minus 1, 26. Ta-da. So just a couple of little simple print statements. Now, every time I run this and compile it, it saves it. It makes the .class file and all that stuff. So let's show again where that is. I think I've showed you this once before, but mine's in Documents, NetBeans Projects. It's here somewhere. There we go, NetBeans Projects. And I've got my projects here. Now, this is the first program. This is what I want right here, the main folder. Now, if I go into this, I've got build and classes, which is where the class, the actual program is. Again, keep in mind there's not an exe because that would mean Java can't run on every system. And there's my source, the actual Java. Now what I want is the whole project. Now we can't just submit a folder. You can submit files. So what we're going to have to do is zip this up. So the easiest way to do this, if you have a Mac, it might be a little different, but it shouldn't be too different. In Windows, you just simply have to right-click on the file that you're on. And I don't want you to be in here just on the source. I want the whole project because that gives me everything that's in here. All of the little things, it even keeps track of a whole bunch of other little things. I want everything. So right-click on the main project wherever you saved it. If you don't know where you saved it, oh, and I should mention this as well. Whenever you make a project, file, new project, you tell it where it goes, that's where it's going to go. You don't have to come up here and go to File, Save As. File Save As will save the Java file, but not the whole project. This means that you won't be able to run this file. It has to be inside of a project to run it. So we don't want to save this thing separately. Every time you hit this button, it automatically saves everything, the whole project. It runs it, it compiles it, it's saved. Uh, you could also just hit the little save floppy disk up here and it'll save it. If I make a little change, I can hit save up here if I haven't already done this. This automatically saves it. So you don't have to come up here and do anything here, like save as, any of that. Where we're going to go, again, is you're going to want to go to wherever it happens to be. Mine's in Documents, NetBeans Projects. I'm going to right click on it, and I should have a fair list of things here. I'm going to go to Send To. Should be on your computer if you have a Windows machine. Mac should have something similar. I don't have a Mac to show you, otherwise I'd show you, but it shouldn't be so dissimilar. And I want a compressed zip folder. So what this is going to do is basically put it into a zip file. If I do this, I click it, bam, first program. What it did is basically make a copy of this entire folder and everything that's in it and put it inside of a zip file. And a zip file allows you to compress things so they're not as big. If I were to, let's see, right click on this, properties, this whole project is 92 kilobytes in size. Inside of a zip folder, it's actually 17 because they compressed it. It doesn't really matter that much for what we're doing, but what this allows me to do is submit one file that has the whole project. So once I've right click, send to compress zip folder, I have this little zip file here. It's in my Documents NetBeans project. It's usually wherever your stuff's going to be. Now I'll go back to here, and there should be a Submit Assignment button up here. Not the place where you're watching the video, if you're watching the video, but the actual assignment. I hit Submit, and it asks me to choose the file location. I'll click Choose, and then it's going to be in my Documents NetBeans projects. So I'll just go through this again. It's up here somewhere among all of my projects. There we go. And there it is, first program. I hit open, and it's right here. If you accidentally mess something up, you can just, hit it again, reload it, however you want to do. Now, if you cancel, you see it goes away. I'm going to make sure I pick the right one. You could always just reload the page. You can submit more than one time too if you submit the wrong file or something. You can leave comments here if you want, and you just hit submit. Poof. Well, that's new. I actually didn't realize it confettied you. Well, hooray. Uh, I've never actually seen that happen before. I wonder if that's new or not. Well, anyway, it's submitted. You'll see it's right over here. You don't have to ask me, did I turn it in? Well, if you're wondering, right here on the right, that's it. Click on it and see. I can click it, it'll download. I can open it. And there's the project. I can even dig into it, source. This is the Java file. I can open it and take a look at it if I want. Now, you're not going to be able to run the Java file itself. There it is. This is the program I was working on. This is the one I'm looking at. Notice it's all gray. I'm reading it from a zip folder, so basically it's something I can't edit. If I close that zip folder, it'll go away because it's only there temporarily while I'm peeking at it. It's submitted. Yay, I can go to grades, take a look there, and you'll see that there's a little piece of paper there that says that I turned something in. Now when it's time for me to grade, I'll open up the projects, look at them, and I'll put in your score. If there's anything, like you mess something up, you'll get some comments here as well. Now you can always click on this as well, and if you need to leave more comments, do it right there. If something happens and you can't submit it like on the main area or something, you can always attach it here, but I really want it turned in normally. If you try to turn it in the comment section instead of the normal section, I may not get the message. When I'm going through it, it'll just say you didn't turn it in. So make sure you turn it in correctly. There should be a little piece of paper there if you did. Ta-da! So there's something there. You can always, again, check it if you want. Click on it. There's the file. You can open it, take a look at it. And if you, again, have run this and there's the output, it's saved. You don't have to go up to File, Save As, and all that nonsense. Once you make a project, it's there. When you want to open a project, you just go to File, Open Project. And probably go to your Documents NetBeans projects, or wherever you have them saved. You can click on it, it'll open the project, and what it'll look like is a little something like this. It'll be completely compressed, basically, and you'll just have to open it up. And the code is under source, default package, right there. Then you can run it, you can change it, you can add things to it however you want, copy and paste stuff, whatever's kind of needed. That's just a quick rundown on how to turn in projects. All the projects you turn in will basically be set up the same way. You'll go in, you'll build the project, you'll run it. Once it works and you're done, you run it again, you're good. You can go ahead and just basically close this out. And the reason I say do that is if you hadn't saved it, it'll ask you to save it then. And if you say yes, you know it's saved. Oh, and there is one other thing I should mention. Well, that's not the one I wanted. This happens at school on some of the computers. Uh, I don't necessarily know that it's going to happen at home, but occasionally when you make a new project, you'll be open here and you'll be typing in stuff and it looks normal. But when you run it, nothing happens. If that does occur, no matter what you do, you hit run, and nothing's popping up, uh, double click on the name again. Like just come over here and just go click, click. And if a blank like template pops up, sometimes NetBeans will make kind of like this phantom file where it's got the right name, but for some reason it's not the actual file. I don't know what the deal is. I've only ever seen this on campus on some of the wonky computers, but it could very well happen to someone at home. So just in case, note that's one slight error that can happen once in a blue moon. All right, and I think that's roughly it. Uh, write out a program, save it, submit it, and I'll get it graded. If you have any questions, you can always ask me. If there's anything you're confused about, feel free, leave a comment, message me, whatever you need.